Hey, I'm on. Is it working? It is working. I'm on. Is it working? Oh wait, that has to be muted for me, obviously. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Cool. This isn't my phone. It's a mirror. It's my phone. It's not good. There it is. I got it. Alright. Okay. Sent out the text saying that I'm actually doing it. I'm live reading. On YouTube, if you want, no pressure. Or non-pressure, but if you like, if you friggin' type like me. Hey, Danny. Just sending texts to such people who've asked me to send them texts when I go live because the notifications suck. Alright. This was a very short notice and I'm pretty sure I didn't even wait the half hour I said I was going to. Let me see. I wish the other webcam worked properly because I'm quite tired of looking blue. Oh, okay, so I posted that 10 minutes ago. Whoops. I'm quiet? Oh. Well, it's pointed at me. It's pointed at me. And check some settings. Mic audio is up. It's at full volume. It is using the snowball. Hi, Mahu Screen. How's it going? I'm very quiet, apparently, so I'm not sure. What? I'm just looking at the settings and stuff. I was very quiet in my last thing as well, so I don't know. Within listenable? Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to melt down and rage quit immediately like I did last time. I didn't even rage quit, I just hormone quit. I was like, no. No. Not up to fixing a problem today. Or any day. No, don't say sorry. I need to know because I don't have this going, in my ears. There's no audio coming from the stream. Oh. It's one of these. Sorry, it's one of these. It's directional. So there may be some kind of setting on my computer that I'm doing wrong. Oh, hi Jessie. Welcome. Nice to see you here. Let's open the volume mixer. Hey Josh, how's it going? Oops. If I turn the volume up like that, is that really, really loud? Or is that just on my computer? I think that's just on my computer. Yeah, no, the mic is directional and it's not facing the computer in any way. Right. I'm excited for this one because I was so young when I read these and they were so scary. Yeah. Unlistenable. Okay. I'm gonna put that like on my book that I write eventually. You're listenable. That's fine. I can basically hear you. I'll have to try and speak up. Weird. Very, very weird. Yeah, as a Kiwi, it's very actually culturally insensitive to ask me to speak up, and I don't care if it's another Kiwi doing it. I just want to start reading, but I said I wouldn't yet. But yeah, I've been watching the Fear Street series on Netflix. I haven't seen the third part yet, so don't anyone spoil it for me. But this is going to be fun. I'm not used to a wispy fringe, I'm used to a thick fringe. Speak up is more polite than enunciate. If this book turns out to be funny, I'm going to give them all stupid voices. I was just thinking, I could, She should not have said that. You don't mumble, you talk fine. You talk good of words and many other. Likewise, and such as. Oh, I've had a long day and I haven't been sleeping much. I'm not going to be making a lot of sense. Thank you! I'm glad you're watching this high because if it gets scary for you at any point, drop out. Okay? I will not be upset with you. I don't want you to have a bad time. Yeah, we were all mumblers as kids. We were all gifted, we were all mumbling. We were drinking from a fountain that was pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain. That's what we were doing. Oh, we got 9 people. Or 8, sorry. That's pretty cool. And we've been talking about 8 minutes, which means I started 10 minutes early. We've been going for 18 minutes. I said it would start in half an hour. Okay. If you get scared, let me know in chat, and I'll tell you something nice. I don't know what yet. Yeah, the Fear Street series is quite good actually. It's not too bad so far. But yeah, I loved Fear Street books as a child, and basically, if you're unfamiliar, which no one should be, they were young adult novels. They were all set on Fear Street, which was cursed, and they were all completely ludicrous. And just very violent, but in insane ways. And I read them very young. I used to have to trundle over one of the little library Daleks to the teen section so I could step on it to reach the books I was after because I was small. So yeah, imagine like 6-7-year-old me reading this when you hear the horror descriptions. Alright, let's get started. Wait, no. Let's drink some slightly pomegranate flavoured water. just learned about pomegranates the other day with Danny, that they taste like candy. Lollies, they taste like ices. I had no idea there was a fruit that could do that. The Betrayal. Book 1. Oh yeah, I got in so much trouble for reading in class. One year they were painting my classroom and they moved us into the library. My teachers had a very hard time keeping track of me. The Betrayal. Chapter 1. The Beginning. Oh, that's a good place to start. You cannot do this, Susanna Good shrieked, fear choking her throat. You cannot do this to us. Making her sound very whiny. The officers roughly dragged Susanna and her mother to the door. She heard surprised murmurs as they passed through the commons, whispered questions. The prison loomed ahead, a low clapboard building behind the meeting house. Oh, this is in, like, history times. That's awesome, Danny. Why are you doing this to us? Susanna cried, the words bursting from her throat and presumably out of her mouth, but he hasn't mentioned that. But why are you dragging us from our home? Did I say that already? No? Benjamin Fear, spelled F-I-E-R, stepped on the path. His voice was low and steady, his eyes locked on Susanna's. You two will burn before the week is out. That was a text from my sister saying, no thanks. I know it's not her thing, but I thought it would be nice and let her know it was on. So that was the little teaser at the beginning they used to have. There was the Fear family tree, and now we jump forward in time. Village of Shadyside, 1900. Shadyside is where Fear Street is. The fire roared like thunder. Above the choking clouds of black smoke, the night sky brightened with a wash of angry scarlet. The flames tossed and crashed like ocean waves, rolling over the blackened mansion, pouring out every window, sweeping up the walls and over the roof, until the house was nothing more than the dark core of a raging fireball. Staring down at the fire from the low hill that overlooked the wide lawn, Nora Good pressed her hands over her ears, but even with the fire's roar muffled, she could hear the screams. The screams of those trapped inside. The blazing Fear mansion. Sorry. The screams of everyone she knew, of everyone she loved. Screams. 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 It doesn't go on like that, but it's starting to feel very Garth Marenghi and I'm enjoying it. Daniel, come out, Nora cried, her small voice buried under the avalanche of terrified shrieks, anguished moans, and the unending roar of the spreading flames. Daniel, I am here. I am alive. I ran out. I escaped the fire, Nora shouted. Where are you? Are you coming out too? The flames roared louder, as if to answer her. Nora's entire body trembled in dread. She lowered one hand to the amulet on a chain around her neck. The fire had already blazed for more than an hour. Sorry, that's not funny. It's been on fire for an hour and she's like, Daniel, you good in there? The fire had already blazed for more than an hour. Daniel wasn't coming out. No one was coming out. Only minutes after the fire had begun, the Shadyside volunteer firefighters had pulled their horse-drawn water truck onto the lawn of the mansion, but the flames had already swallowed up the entire house. Their faces revealing horror and awe, the firefighters stood by helplessly and watched with the other townspeople who had gathered on the low hill, huddling in small groups, their faces red in the light of the flickering blaze. You're not coming out, are you, Daniel? Sorry. Not funny. You're not coming out, are you, Daniel? Nora said. I'll never see you again. She shut her eyes, but even with her eyes closed, she could still see the angry red and orange flames tossing across the inside of her eyelids. They've used the word tossing about flames a few times, but weird. Squeezing the small round pendant tightly, Nora sighed. The silver amulet with its sparkling blue jewels, held in place by a silver three-toed claw, like those on a tiny bird's foot, had been given to her by Daniel Fear as a token of his love. And now the surname Fear is spelled F-E-A-R. "It is all I have left of you, Daniel," Nora wailed. Voices rose around her, close by, louder than the thunder of the flames. Nora opened her eyes and turned her gaze on the horrified faces of the people from the village. They clung together, as if frightened for their own lives. "The fire will burn forever," a bearded man cried, his face scarlet, the flames reflected in his eyes. "I'll go to your party, Josh. You can watch this anytime. Go and have fun." Want. You got it right first time. "Look at the house," a frail woman a few feet from Nora cried, pointing. "It is covered with flames, but it does not burn." "It looks as if the sky is on fire," screamed a little girl. I don't know why that's a little girl voice, but it is, hiding her face in her mother's dark skirt. "I always knew this place was evil," the bearded man declared, shielding his eyes with one hand. "I always knew the Fears would come to no good." "They burned up inside their house," someone said. "May their evil perish with them," another person added. I don't know why I'm giving them these voices, it's just happening. "The firemen did not even try to put it out." "They could not put out this fire. It is not an ordinary fire. It is not a fire from this world." "The evil of this house feeds the fire. The house is cursed. The ground is cursed." "No, please, stop it. Stop it," Nora shrieked. Unable to shut out their voices, she began running toward the house. "It's not burning." The house just keeps... Yeah. Her cloak flapped behind her as she stumbled down the hill and over the lawn. Slipping on the dew-wet grass, she could feel the heat of the fire on her face. Strange shadows flickered over the lawn, black against the reflected scarlet light. "Daniel, why is your family so cursed?" Nora cried as she ran. That's why I was doing that. That's running. "What kind of evil brought you and your family to this fiery end?" Nora's long dark hair floated wildly above the flapping cloak. As she ran, she held her arms out as if ready to embrace the flames. "Who is that? Where is she going? Somebody stop her!" Alarmed voices rang out from the crowd. Panting loudly, Nora raised an arm to shield her eyes as she ran. She could feel the precious silver amulet bobbing against her throat. "Daniel, are you in there? Daniel!" "Somebody stop her! Has she gone mad? Who is she? Is she a Fear?" Oh no, this is set in 1900, this bit. The voices finally faded, drowned out by the crackle and roar of the blinding red-orange blaze. "It's so hot, Nora thought, because she'd never encountered fire before, somehow. She loosened the cloak and let it fall. "I feel as if I am running into the sun. Now I feel as if I am on fire too." I think you might be. I think you might be, Laura. Fire hot is really not getting... She's not getting the core concept. Why are you and your family so cursed is a valid question. She stopped, choking on the hot smoke. Where am I? She gazed into the flames and suddenly realized she was standing in front of a window. the window of the grand ballroom. The tossing flames... Why are the flames always tossing? It's weird. The tossing flames made the window glow. Ooh! Nora moaned in horror as the faces inside came into view. Faces among the flames. Nora's breath caught in her throat as she stared through the window at the wriggling dark bodies. Are they dancing in there? Dancing? With the flames? No. Their faces were twisted in agony, their dark bodies writhing in pain. She saw screaming women, flames rolling up from their hair. She saw the tortured faces of young men, dark holes where their eyes should have been, their clothing wrapped in fire. Who are these people? Nora wondered, unable to turn her eyes from the ghastly nightmare inside the house. Why are they in the ballroom? Why aren't they consumed by the flames? Why don't they die? I like to imagine her dress is on fire at this point as well. And then Nora's eyes focused on a figure in the centre of the writhing, screaming crowd. A young girl, wearing a long maroon dress and an old-fashioned cap. Nora gasped as the girl raised her head and their eyes met. The girl's eyes were eggshell white, glowing white. As Nora gaped in horror, she saw the girl's mouth open wide into a tortured scream, a scream of rage, of unbearable pain. Then Nora noticed that the girl's hands were tied behind her, tied to a tall wooden pole. The girl was tied to a stake. And now her dress was billowing with fire, and the flames were rising up to her face, up to her long blonde hair. The cat burst into flame then. Oh, sorry, her hat burst into flame, it's funny. Struggling against the stake, the girl shrieked as she burned. Then, with a low explosion, the flames hid them all behind a rippling yellow curtain. Well, she's talking about Susanna Fear, so that was the 1600s. Super old-fashioned. That is totally Nora. The window burst, glass shattering and flying out. The fire's roar rumbled over her, and still Nora stood motionless, staring where the screaming girl had been, staring into the wall of flame, staring into the bright, dancing horror. ... Part 1. Wickham Village, Massachusetts Colony, 1692. Okay, so I have to say, whoever wrote these, I don't know if it was at the actual Arlstein, one of his ghostwriters, but witches weren't really burned in America. You guys just kind of hanged them and called it good. They were burned in, like, well, in the time we're talking about, they usually weren't burned. Yeah, they were hanged. But obviously this is a different thing. So, Wickham Village, Massachusetts Colony, 1692. The fire crackled softly. A loud pop sent up a shower of glowing red embers. Susanna Good uttered a cry of surprise and jumped back from the hearth. Ah! The embers died at her feet. After straightening the starched white apron she wore over her heavy, dark maroon skirt, Susanna bent over the bake kettle to lift the heavy lid and peer inside. Behind her, in the small boarding room, the baby started to cry. Susanna heard the floorboards creak as her mother made her way to the cradle to see what the problem was. "Susanna!" Martha Good's voice was scolding. "You have wrapped George too tightly again. The poor baby can barely breathe." "The blanket is too small. I had trouble covering him," Susanna complained, still bent over the kettle, a few long golden curls falling out of her bun and over her face. Ooh, sexy. The blanket will have to do, her mother replied. It is the best we can afford. She lifted the squalling baby and held him up to her face. Poor George, what did your sister do to you? Susanna sighed. These biscuits are taking so long to bake. Martha Good stepped up behind her. George's cries had softened to quiet whimpers as he laid his head against his mother's stiff white collar. You get it, they're Puritans. The fire is too low, her mother said, shaking her head disapprovingly. Oh, how ironic. You cannot bake in those dying embers. Put more wood on, Susanna. Frowning, Susanna straightened up and tossed the locks of escaped hair behind the white collar that covered the shoulders of her dress. We need firewood. Susanna was tall and thin. She had sparkling blue eyes, creamy pale skin, and dimples in both cheeks when she smiled. Whenever Martha Good found Susanna gazing into the looking-glass or toying with her golden hair, she scolded her with the same words. True beauty comes from deeds, not appearance, daughter. Wait, if they have a good mirror, they should sell that for a big blanket, right? Oh, no, I thought I heard cat outside, but she's in here. As a Puritan, Susanna had been endlessly taught the virtue of modesty. She had been taught that all righteous people are beautiful and the same in the eyes of the Maker. Oh, parents never understand. They just make everything worse. You can only rely on other kids and adults who are not related to you who run sketchy magic shops sometimes. She felt embarrassed whenever her mother caught her admiring herself, as if her mother had peered inside her soul and found it flawed and unworthy. But at 16, Susanna felt stirrings that excited her as much as they troubled her. She found herself thinking of a certain boy, daydreaming about him as she worked, and she couldn't help but wonder if she was pretty enough to win him over all the other girls in the village of Wickham. 420 Street by R.L. Stone. Martha Good held the baby and rocked him gently as she stared disapprovingly at the fire. Where is your father? He will want his biscuits on time, but he will not have them if he is not here. I believe he is at the commons, tending the cows, Susanna told her. I can never remember what voice I'm doing for Susanna. It is always stupid. Cows, her mother scoffed. Huh, bags of bone, you mean? She lowered her gaze sadly to the baby she held. It is a wonder we survived, George. Susanna started toward the door. I will get the firewood and fetch father. I was going out for a walk anyway, Susanna insisted. Susanna, please, her mother said, fear clouding her eyes. You must stop taking solitary walks. You must not do anything at all, to attract attention to yourself. Yeah, I've heard about those. I've heard about biscuits, and I would like to try one, but that was very confusing when I was a child. She gazed intently at her pretty daughter. Then she added in a low whisper, You know the dangers. You know what's going on here. Yes, Mother, Susanna replied impatiently. But I think I can go out for a walk without... They took Abigail Hopping from her house last night and dragged her to prison, her mother said softly. The poor woman's screams woke me. Susanna uttered a shocked gasp. Ah! Abigail Hopping? A witch? That's what Benjamin Fear says, Martha Good replied, swallowing hard. Mm? So Fear at the moment is spelled F-I-E-R. Your father simply must have his chocolate chip cookies. And his popped corn. Oh, no, I can't eat on the stream. Come on. Benjamin accused Abigail of singing songs of the evil one as she prepared the evening meal. I cannot believe that Abigail Hopping is a witch, Susanna said, shaking her head. Has she, confessed? Yeah, that's how they're spelling it. Hi, Evelyn. Her trial is at the meeting house tonight, Martha Good said darkly. Oh, Mother, will she burn like the others? Susanna cried, choking out the words. Her mother rocked the baby and didn't reply. There is so much evil about, daughter, she said finally. Yeah, the family have updated their names for the AOL age. And then they downdated them again when that became unfashionable. There's a lot of evil about, blah blah. 3 witches uncovered in our village by Benjamin Fear since summer began. I beg you to be careful, Susanna. Stay in the shadows. Give no one reason to suspect you, or even to notice you. By the sound of the Fire Street. Oh, you'll see. By the sound of the description, everyone has noticed her. Oh my god, did you hear that Abigail B has been consorting with the evil one in the woods? Abigail B? I would think that Abigail H would be consorting with the evil one in the woods. Abigail B would not consort with, anybody. She has not. She literally has not. No, I heard she signed her name in the Black Book. I heard she signed your name in the Black Book. I'm just kidding. Oh my god. Sorry, I'll go off on that tangent forever until I bore myself, so. Susanna nodded. Yes, Mother. I am only going to the commons for firewood. I shall be back quickly. She pushed open the door, causing a flood of bright sunlight to wash over the dark room. No! Stop! Her mother cried. Halfway out the door, Susanna turned, her blue eyes flashing, an impatient frown on her face. Are you going out with your head uncovered? Martha Good demanded. Where are your thoughts, dear? Where are your thoughts? The hedgehogs are eating the cat cookies outside. I am sorry. Susanna returned to the room, took her white cap from its peg, and pulled it down over her hair. I will hurry back, she said. She closed the door behind her, and shielding her eyes with one hand from the bright afternoon sunlight, made her way past the chickens, pecking the dirt in front of the house. Susanna turned onto the path that led into the village. Walking quickly, her long skirt trailing over the dirt, she passed the Halsey's house. Halsey? Halsey? Halsey. I don't know, I don't care. The glass for their windows hadn't yet arrived from England, Susanna saw. The windows were boarded up. Mr. Halsey was bent over his vegetable garden and didn't look up. At the meeting house, she saw someone up on the shingle roof working to attach a brass weather vane above the chimney. Fitz? Fitz? Nope, keep thinking I hear him. The village magistrate, Benjamin Fear, a troubled expression on his face. Try and do the expressions. Was just entering the building. Sorry. Susanna stopped short and waited until he had disappeared inside. A cold shudder ran down her back as she thought of Abigail Hopping. Oh, Fitz would never. I put his little cowboy hat on him every time he needs to go out, so he's a decent boy. I know Benjamin Fear is a good and righteous man, Susanna thought, but I am afraid of him, just as everyone else in Wickham is. As village magistrate, Benjamin Fear was the most powerful man in Wickham. He was also the wealthiest. His home, the biggest in the village, stood across from the meeting house. The aroma of roasting beef wafted out from the summer kitchen as Susanna strode past. The Fears are so prosperous, Susanna thought, unable to suppress a feeling of envy. They won't be having biscuits and gravy for their dinner. The Fears can have roasted meat every night. Susanna knew that the Fear brothers, Benjamin and Matthew, were the most prosperous men in Wickham because they were the most worthy. Since she had been a little girl, she'd been taught that good fortune goes to those who are most righteous. Thus, Benjamin Fear became magistrate because he was the wisest, most pious man in the village. It was he who conducted the witchcraft trials. And it was he who insisted the guilty ones be burned, rather than hanged as they were elsewhere in Massachusetts. Benjamin's younger brother Matthew had a farm that prospered when others failed, because Matthew Fear was more righteous and faithful than the other farmers. That was plain and simple knowledge. As she passed the meeting house and glanced towards the commons, Susanna found herself thinking about Benjamin's son, Edward Fear. Edward, where are you? Are you thinking about me? She cried as she stumbled over an enormous pink pig spotted with black and went sprawling onto the hard ground. Oh my god, the clumsy girl trope is much funnier if they have to trip over a pig every time. The pig grunted a loud protest and scrambled off the path. Susanna picked herself up and brushed the dust off the front of her white apron. That will teach me not to have improper thoughts, she scolded herself, straightening her cap over her hair. So every time you have an impure thought, you trip over a pig? It's not true. Ed Fear. Ooh, you're going to be scared by how much fun you're having. But how can thoughts about Edward be improper? She saw her father at the far end of the commons, the large rectangular pasture in the centre of the village. He was busy raking a section of ground, for no reason. He was a bad farmer, and didn't see Susanna wave to him. A few bits I thought I just threw in of my own. Also, welcome, Father Dog. Mr. Franklin, the blacksmith, Mr. Benjamin Franklin II, was at his anvil in front of his shop, pounding noisily on a sheet of tin as Susanna hurried past. Also for no reason. The town was made up of imbeciles. That wasn't in there. She smiled at Franklin's apprentice, a boy named Arthur Kent, who was tending the bellows. Had to change the page just then. Which were nearly twice as big as he was. Behind the blacksmith's shop were the shimmering green woods. Tall poplars and beech trees leaned in toward the village. Behind these, the woods grew dark with pines, oaks, and maples. Ooh, not bad. A village woodpile stood at the edge of the woods, logs neatly chopped and stacked. But Susanna's eyes were focused on the woods. Team Edwardian and Team Jacoby. Is this something? Maybe. Maybe. Let me think on it. Sunlight filtered down through the shimmering leaves, sending rays of light darting over the ground. Black and gold monarch butterflies flooded in and out of the shafts of white light. I shall take a short walk into the woods, Susanna decided. It felt good to be out of the dark house, away from the heat of the cooking hearth, away from the crying baby, away from her chores and the watchful eyes of her mother, away from the heavy fear that hovered over the entire village these days. I know there's been no horror yet, apart from the house being on fire and Nora just kind of trying to walk into it without noticing anything except that she's getting very hot. But it's coming. Susanna stepped into the woods, dry twigs cracking beneath her heavy black shoes. As soon as she was hidden by the trees, she pulled off her cap and shook her hair free. All the chicks go crazy for a certain early boy. I'm thinking of a Tex Avery cartoon. It's not a universal thing. She walked slowly, raising her face to the shafts of bright sunlight. Her dress caught on a low bramble. Ooh, She tugged it free and kept walking. A scrabbling sound nearby made her spin around, just in time to see a brown and white chipmunk scurry under a pile of dead leaves. Susanna tossed her long hair back and took a deep breath. The air smelled piney and sweet. I'm not supposed to enjoy the words, she thought, her smile slowly fading. Susanna had been taught that the woods were a place of evil. And trees. Treeville! Live deliciously with this dull sassoon. Oh, I love R.L. Stone's scary cliffhangers. I love them. That's where G. Martin got the idea for Game of Thrones. As if mirroring her thoughts, the trees grew thicker, shutting out the sunlight. It became evening dark. Away from civilization, deep in the woods, was where the Evil One and his followers dwelt, Susanna had been taught. The witches of the village came here to dance their evil dances by moonlight with the Evil One and his servants. The Evil One and his servants lived deep in holes in the ground, hidden by scrub and thick shrubs. Susanna believed that if she wandered alone into the darkness of their domain, they might reach up and grab her and pull her down into their netherworld of eternal torture and darkness. The air grew cooler. From a low branch just above Susanna's head, a dove uttered a deep-throated moan, cold and sorrowful. I don't know what doves sound like. That's probably a dove. Sarah's thinking of badgers. Yeah, Satan, badgers, it's hard to remember. Susanna shuddered. It is so dark. Suddenly so cold, she said. Time to go back. But as she turned, she felt strong hands grab her from behind. The Evil One! She cried. End of chapter. You got it, Josh. You got it. Oh yeah, there are heaps of differences between this and the series, so. Oh my god, Goody Proctor was seen kissing the devil, the hairy badger devil. Yeah. She's such a slut though, like low-key. Like, it's embarrassing to be at her age, to go into the woods and kiss badgers. It's like, what are you trying to prove? That you're still young? You're not. Like, I know that hurts to hear when you're 18, but you're like super old and you just need to like join a book club. But not like all the kind with words, because we're not allowed to read those. No, the Netflix series is kind of adapted from this. Yeah, anytime someone grabs me, I'm like, the Evil One! In the voice I've decided Susanna Good has. My voice is getting a little bit sore, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there, but the Evil One. But yeah, this has been really fun. Oh, I can't believe we didn't get to any of the good stuff. But yeah, Fear Street Saga was Fear Street, the series, had heaps. Fear Street Saga is 3 books. The second book is the best one. Also, I'm tired, apparently. I didn't know that. Every day's a school day. Consider subscribing to my Patreon. I know you guys are like my friends in real life, so you probably wouldn't want to do that, but it would help me. I'm bad with money, and I have very little money. So, stay chaste, fellow Protestants. Yeah. You can, like, subscribe to my Patreon, pay out, and then unsubscribe. I don't care. I don't track the numbers. There is no bonus content on there. Because I believe that all the dumb shit I do should be free for everybody to enjoy, and that's why I do the dumb shit I do on a shoestring budget, because I believe this thing. I'll stay chaste. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to make a joke and I forgot what it was. It's Martin Luther, run! He's got 95 theses and the other 5 have broken free! Alright, thank you so much, everybody. Have fun at your party, Josh, and everyone have a good night. I will see you again tomorrow for more of the same. Sorry about the short notice, but I do things based on whims and, you know, whatever. So, goodbye.